They don't know how to sneeze or cough. They go, achoo, achoo. And then I go, you need to do this like Dracula. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Ay! We need to get rid of every single germ. Every single one. What did I tell you about eating these emergency snacks?
Hey, it's an emergency. I'm hungry. ¿Qué tú quieres, carajo? Oh.
Oh my God! Stay away! Stay away from the corona! Hey!
¿Pero qué te pasa?
Hey! Get rid of it! I'm not taking any chances! Mom, what's your email?
¿Por qué?
I'm trying to win tickets to Disney on Ice.
Ay, qué lindo. I've always wanted to see esos príncipes en patines.
Hello, what is it?
It's peluquera chula 96 at AOL.com.
Ew, you still use AOL? Keyword, qué pena.
Oye, no me insultes, porque tiene un juguetico hanging from your neck.
I'm a Toys R Us kid, bro, but I would rather live in a house made of caca than use dial-up.
Bueno, with a house made of caca, the big bad wolf is going to eat you, malcriada.
So we're going to have to make the best of it here in our large Spanish-styled home in Coral Gables with an entire closet full of toilet paper. We're going to have to make do. All right? Listen, I know this isn't going to be fun, but we're going to need to isolate ourselves from the rest of society until this is over. Mother, I have been preparing for this moment my entire life. I'm gonna be just fine. As long as I have my lentils, I'm gonna be just fine.
And now is the time for peace.
Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you. Peace be with you.
¿Sabes que en Mateo 3:24 dicen que en las señoras que se ponen pintura de uñas así roja les gusta el diablo?
Bueno, tú sabes que en Salmo 2:15 dicen que las mujeres no se deben pintar el cabello, lo que Dios te dio.
Pues gracias a Dios, mi Diosito Jesus me bendició con mi pelo natural a la edad que tengo.
Sí, natural, sí. El Superior Preference by L'Oreal.
Ay, look at my little girl, ready for her first day of school in the 5th grade. Benito, the camera, please. We need to capture this moment.
Oh, look at my little girl. Yeah. Congratulations. You're so beautiful. First day of school. First day of school.
Today is Michi's first day of the 5th grade. She is 4 feet 6 inches tall. She likes to eat kids cuisine and s'mores y habichuela con arroz. And she became a mujercita over the summer.
Wow.
Okay, Mom, can you stop? We're gonna be late.
She is going to have so much fun with her friends in school. They're going to take the field trips to the ocean and the science museum. ¿Verdad? And then she's going to learn so much and become like a doctor or a lawyer. Ay, que Dios la bendiga.
Okay, Mom, did you get the school supplies from the list that Miss Brigsby sent you?
I Alguien más está.
Oh my god, oh my god, it's hitting me right now. Like, what are we gonna do with one roll of toilet paper? Like, thoughts and prayers. Thoughts and prayers.
Bueno, now those CVS receipts will finally be put to good use.
And you couldn't find mac and cheese?
Ay, qué risa, pero claro que no.
What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do with no mac and cheese?
Vas a tener que comer los frijoles negros y harina y el arroz con huevo frito que te va a hacer tu abuelita.
No! First, they cancel Ultra and Calle Ocho and the Miami-Dade County Youth Fair. Like, I was really looking forward to, like, the elephant ears. And then now, Disney World closes and I'm like, coronavirus has canceled more things than Twitter. Yo no sé qué hacer.
Hey, Larissa, no seas tan malcriada, por favor, because if it's true all this is going on out there, si tú sales por ahí, entonces regresa, you're going to get your abuelita sick. And you know that we need to protect the old and weak.
If I was born to be a winner, then I'ma grow up to be a go-getter. Blood, sweat, and tears written in the plaques of kings. 1 in a million, the billions that have to sing. If I was born to be a winner, then I'ma grow up to be a go-getter. Blood, sweat, and tears written in the plaques of kings. 1 in a million, the billions that have to sing. When only all I know, see, where you're stamming it down, overthrowing me. Jerk left, jerk right, I'm number 23. Every day of my life, the win is all I see. Train harder than most, it's more than a dream, this is reality. I was born to be king, break the sweat from my soul as I reach out in and let it go with the form of a javelin throw. Come on, stay on my
Sana, sana, colita de rana.
and let it float like a butterfly right.
Hello? Hi, honey. How are you? Yes. How is... Oh? Oh, you're coming back home. Oh, okay. Okay, and do you know when?
You're on.
Hey guys, it's Melissa Kirkpache. I am the executive producer, co-creator, and the star of Hialeah Series. If you have not watched our first season, please make sure to check it out right here on our Facebook page. And if you have, we invite you to watch it again and share some laughs with your family and friends. Virtually, of course. Por favor, quédate en las casas, lávate las manos. You guys know the drill already by now. I am so excited to be back with a brand new episode of our new segment right here on the Hialeah Series Facebook page called Cafecito Talks, where we chat with some of the most celebrated personalities in our community. Sorry about that. Over some, of course, cafecito. I've got mine right here. And I cannot wait to drink it. And I'm so excited to invite our second guest, Jenny Lorenzo, to our show today. You guys know Jenny as the powerhouse Cuban-American influencer, actor, producer, content creator. She's just amazing. And she is most famous for her role as the hilarious Cuban abuelita on the internet. She is a dear friend and a supporter of our show. So please help me welcome Jenny Lorenzo. Jenny, welcome to the show. Hey, how are you? Good, how are you? I cannot wait.
How are we all right now? Day 375, I don't even know, of this quarantine.
Has it been? I know. I don't even know. How are you doing? Where are you in the world? Like, tell me everything.
Well, I am in, Burbank, California. That is where I reside. But I am from Miami, born and raised. Tú sabes.
Pero de la Sabuesera, no Hialeah. We're from the two parts.
I was born in Hialeah Hospital, and my parents lived there. You know, I was a very tiny creature during my Hialeah days, and then we moved to Huechete to be close to the abuelos.
Yes, that's awesome. Do you have cafecito today, or is it just me?
I do not. I have eucalyptus oil.
Wow.
Clearly, algo me pasa aquí en Los Ángeles con the oils and all that.
Ese es el vaporú del LA, eucalyptus.
It is. Like, helps
The
wake
Burbank
me
version.
up.
That's so funny. No, we're so excited to have you here as always. And I always love chatting with you. You're such a good friend and a big supporter. And we'll always be grateful to you because you're just awesome. But I really, our audience that is such a big fan of you, you've done so many great videos on the internet, probably don't even know how you got started. So can you tell us a little bit about how you got started making these videos on the internet?
It's like, when it's in you, when you see a kid and you're like, that kid's gonna get into like theater and all that because they just crave the limelight. That since I was a little kid, I just loved doing it. And then I used to force my sister to do performances in La Sala for my
I did that too.
and then I got a hold of my mom's like JVC camcorder. I'm aging myself. And my sister and I started making little videos and stuff. And fast forward, and I ended up going to film school because you know this well, Melissa, as an actress, how it is.
Yes.
I was just tired of going to audition after audition in Miami, and they wanted me to look like a Salvo Gigante model. Y tú sabes que yo no tengo ese cuerpazo. I don't know where this body came from. People say it's not Cuban. That's fine. It's a ridiculous and ignorant statement because we come in all shapes and sizes and colors. Pero, that's how it is. And so I was tired and I was like, you know what? I'm going to go to film school. And that's when I started making sketches and all that.
That's awesome. Do you remember what was the first video that you launched on the internet?
Oh, God.
I know. That's a hard question. That's a long time ago, I'm sure.
Yeah, I used to have
do like reviews, no?
Yeah. Well, I still made horrible videos even before that channel was born, but the first official YouTube channel that I ever was a part of was the Aggressive Comics channel, and it's still up on YouTube. It has a new host, but that channel was pretty much my life for almost 5 years. I was releasing weekly videos, but it wasn't anything like what you see right now. It was like geeky, comic book, superhero, sci-fi related content.
And so what happened where you decided to sort of make that transfer and say, I'm going to start acting out in front of the camera versus, doing maybe review videos?
Because it was kind of like, I always call it fate of some kind, because when I was in high school, I think towards the very end of high school is when YouTube was born for me. And I was like, and I just didn't know what to do. I didn't have the resources. I didn't have a camera. Back then, our phones were total caca. Like you can't film things, you couldn't film things with your phone back then the way people do now. And I didn't, again, like I didn't have that money to start a YouTube channel. I didn't know where to start. And this was before film school, obviously. And so I always wanted to have a YouTube channel. I remember watching Smosh and like, oh my gosh, I'm forgetting Liam. His name is Liam. And he did the shoes. Let's get them shoes. And Charlie the Unicorn and all like these like, oh my God, Salad Fingers. I know that's a really creepy animated series from YouTube, so tread carefully. And then there was like websites like YTMND, You're the Man Now Dog, and like E-Bombs World, and that was like the beginning of like content creation on the internet. And I always felt overwhelmed because I was like, I want to be there, but I don't know how to be there. So it took me a while. And so the reason why I say it was fate was because I had just graduated film school and I was laid off from my job as a dog walker.
Oh my
gosh. And I was laid off from my job right after. So I graduated film school and my now husband and a bunch of our best friends, we all went to our very first San Diego Comic-Con. So we all flew from Miami to San Diego. We fell in love with California. And I met a guy at the convention. I was cosplaying as Ramona Flowers, and this guy just ran quickly, took a photo of me in my cosplay, ran off, gave me his business card. Fast forward a couple months into the future, we connect online, and together we opened up this YouTube channel, and he lived in New York. He still does. And so
that's awesome.
I never saw myself as a host. I never saw myself as someone who could be on camera and people would actually subscribe to listening to me talk. Because I'm like, this doesn't make sense, but it gave me a lot of confidence, and I learned a lot from doing that, from working on that channel.
That's amazing. So then you started off in LA. You moved. No, you didn't start off in LA. Here in Miami, you moved to LA, and then how did you actually start to get your feet wet with acting and also make a living? Because that's, I mean, we both know this well. Once you move to California, I mean, you start from the ground up. There's like nothing. So walk me through that journey, because I'm sure there's a lot of people that want to get on YouTube or want to create content, but they got to live. So how did you make this happen?
Oh man, you know, again, that channel, Aggressive Comics, was a big part of my early success upon moving to Los Angeles. And, you know, again, I was not doing well in Miami financially. I'm still in student loan debt. Imagínate tú, until I freaking hit the big time. Esta cosa is not going to go anywhere. But I wasn't like more than just regular student loan debt, because that's a lot of us. But I had a car that kept breaking down. There were no industry jobs. I was part of a professional theater company in Miami, and then we like lost our grant money. It was a lot. It was really hard in Miami in terms of the arts, especially in theater. And my life for a good chunk of my 20s was all about theater. And we tried so hard to make something of ourselves and of the company in Miami, and people weren't showing up. Even though the plays got rave reviews by critics, no one would show up. It's like, the way we saw it was, if we put on The Wizard of Oz, we would sell out. But if we did a really powerful Stephen Adly Gurgis play, like The Last Days of Judas Iscariot or Our Lady of 121st Street, we would get 5 people. And so as artists, I was suffering, my husband was suffering, and we hit a wall. We hit a wall. And so it wasn't until the very last 2 years of being in Miami that I finally got a job at Univision as a quality control editor for telenovelas. It's a lot to explain. I was that person that would my best friend Patty worked with me. She helped me get the job. And basically what a quality control editor is that we kind of see the very final product and make sure there's no mistakes before we send it to air. And so I was that person working on the intros, like, esta noche, mañana, you know, and we didn't even have to watch the novelas. We kind of saw what was happening with every little trailer that we got every day. Like, what's Maria Antonieta doing today? You know, is she going to die or is she going to come back? Who's the baby, daddy? And so I was doing that job while working for Nesquik as the Nesquik bunny mascot, and I was still doing weekly videos for Aggressive Comics. Keep in mind, at the time, I wasn't making money off of that YouTube channel at all. It was really just a passion thing, you know, and to get experience, and it made me feel alive and like I was doing something that my degree, you know, that my degree was about. So, pero when I moved to LA, it's like truly like blessed that I got a job as an intern at BuzzFeed Video. And the only reason why that even came to fruition the way it did is because I had 5 years of YouTube channel work under my belt.
Oh, wow. That's amazing.
So it paid off. And that's why I always tell people, you might not always get paid at first. You know, you have to pay your dues.
Oh, girl, don't we know it? Let me ask you this. Obviously, you know, we know you so well for your Cuban abuelita. I mean, that's how I first, you know, came to know you on the internet. And it's one of my favorite characters, as it is for so many. When did you start making the Cuban abuelita videos? Like, why did you want to do that role?
I had been since like 2007. I remember my husband and I and some friends did like this telenovela parody called Bésame Mucho. And for me, it was just always in me I spent so much time with my abuelos And I would go with them everywhere, to La Clínica, to this. It's almost impossible not to be surrounded by this, right? Whether it's being in a Catholic private school to like hanging out at La Carreta with all the viejitos outside drinking coffee and talking about Cuba. It's hard not to take note of all these personalities and what Miami is about, even more so as I got older and started working retail, and I had to deal with all kinds of people. And I was a pet sitter and a dog walker for the rich people of like Brickell, and woo, the stories I can tell you of this city. It's, and you know, because you're there. We are.
That's another Cafecito talk.
City. Mira que Hollywood is sleeping, okay? Because every time I'm like, can we set this in Miami? They're like, how about LA? And I'm like,
I know, if they only knew, man.
I'm like, y'all don't know what you're missing. True comedy here. In a good way. Pero, so I was always messing around with like Latino comedy, and I did, you know, while I was at University of Miami studying film and doing sketches, I would do Latino sketches there. And then when I was doing videos for Aggressive Comics, I think after a while it started to weigh on me that my audience didn't even know where I was from. They assumed I was like Italian because of my last name. They thought I was just like a white girl. They didn't know I was Hispanic. And I started to crave that again. I just always loved it. I always loved producing, you know, content and telling stories about my upbringing. And so the very first time we see Abuela on that channel, she spoke all in English, obviously, with a thick Cuban accent, because again, my audience was predominantly white male.
Oh, wow.
It was a movie review for the movie Kick-Ass 2. And Abuela was a superhero. So it's like, it was almost like Abuela was my alter ego. Like, I'm Cuban grandma, the protector of all of Miami. And her weapon was like a matamosca. And then eventually I started like doing like cooking videos as Abuela with my, you know, her Annie Jones, who played like Abuela's ditzy friend. And we would do these like, you know, home, you know, Cuban recipe videos. And it was weird because all these like white guys are like, what is this? Just like, what is happening? Pero, and then again, Abuela has lived on so many platforms that it's insane, because then I brought her onto BuzzFeed, then I brought her onto Me Too, and then now the character, along with the rest of the characters, are on my channel.
Yeah, they all live in the channel of Jenny, the world of Jenny, which is awesome. You know, you said something really interesting. You know, for a creator, it's really, I'm sure it's very nerve-wracking to release something new that your audience is not familiar with, right? You were saying, you know, it was white males on your channel, and all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to throw this little character and see what people think. How was that for you? Were you getting it well received? Or did Abuela really explode when you took her to other platforms? What was that journey like?
I don't remember I think people for the most part liked her on the Aggressive Comics channel, but then the real challenge was bringing her to BuzzFeed, because at the time BuzzFeed had no character actors like that. I don't know if you remember BuzzFeed from back in 2015, 2016. A lot of the videos were very much about, you know, the producers themselves would act in all the videos, and not all of them were even actors, right? So it's very natural acting, very low key, you know, and then here I come with this shitty peluca. And like, it was a terrible wig, my God. And if I look back at those videos, my accent wasn't perfected, my posture wasn't perfected, my voice, everything was so, it was very early stages of the character. But as you know, that character is based on my real abuela. So that's what I meant to mention earlier too, is like, she was such like a prominent figure in my life and someone who I was with all the time. And she was such a character to me. So I wanted to portray this persona based on her. This is what's funny about bringing something onto a whole new audience, a whole new platform, right? Because this was before Pero Like was born. It was just BuzzFeed. I'm like, here we go. We released 2 videos back to back. The first video on day 1 got a lot of hate. And then the second video got a lot of love. The a very short video where no one spoke in this video. It was almost like a meme. It was because Sábado Gigante had just ended. And we made it, so it was me and my husband, and we dressed as old people, as my abuela character, and he dressed as like un viejito. And it was like what old couples are doing now that Sábado Gigante is over. So it was like them making out on the couch.
That's so funny.
Because we didn't speak, a lot of Latinos were offended because they're like, "Is that what you think of us, BuzzFeed?" Like they were like throwing the F-bomb. They're like, "Is that what you think Latinos are?" And I was like, and I almost feel like they thought that there was some kind of like white, non-Hispanic producer behind that video. But the very next day, we released Abuela's official first video where it was called When Abuela Wants You to Eat. And it was all in Spanish. And not a single peep. Everyone, I think at that point, like I won over the Latino audience. They're like, "Oh, she's not a white girl." Like as in,
right.
I always have to say this. I always have to preface this by saying I am white. Yes, my race is Caucasian, but I'm Hispanic white. I'm talking about non-Hispanic, non-Latino white people. They probably thought I was just like a regular white girl making fun of Latinos. And then the moment I released a video speaking like Cuban Spanish, they're like, "Oops, never mind. She's legit. Thumbs up."
Exactly. And I'm sure you've been through, I'm sure that, and you speak very openly about this on social, about kind of the challenges that you face with, the public, in the industry itself. Is there a challenge, or what are some of the biggest challenges that you have faced in your field, and how did you overcome that as a creator?
One of the biggest challenges I ever faced was creating Pero Like. And we actually just released a video. The original founders, we all did a video that Gadiel produced, and it's currently right now on the Pero Like channel. So if anybody wants to check it out, we all kind of just discussed the very beginnings of things. But things have changed a lot. But back then, things were very stressful at BuzzFeed. It was very, very competitive. And so you have to constantly prove yourself, that you can go viral, that you have a unique voice, that you stand out, Right. And I get it. I didn't come to Hollywood thinking this was going to be easy. So I was like, all right, let's do this. I had no insurance. I was dealing with like an autoimmune disease that hadn't even been freaking diagnosed yet. So it was just, it was a very tough time. But so I was juggling so much, and there was no work-life balance. Like I would come home and I would keep editing and keep writing and keep coming up with things. And that's just like the nature of things sometimes. And I remember in my intern class, I met a girl named Jasmine Ontiveros, who's Mexican from the Bay. And we immediately clicked. We're like, "Oh my God, you're Latina too?" And we looked around and we're like, how come there's no Latino? First of all, there was barely any Latinos working at BuzzFeed at the time. Second of all, there was no Latino content. So I was like, okay, we should do something about this. So we started making Latino videos. But we had a boss at the time who wasn't very keen on Latino content. And he made it very difficult. But thanks to certain people at BuzzFeed who did believe in us, they started allowing us to fully dedicate. They called them Latino sprints. That's what they would call it. They're like, okay, Christmas is coming up. We're going to give you 2 weeks where we allow you to do nothing but Latino content, which to us was like a huge deal. And aside from Jasmine, so we had to like form kind of like this like bigger team because you're, better in greater numbers. So we linked up with Alex Alvarez, who's a Miami Cuban, and Norberto Briseños, who's Mexican from LA. And they weren't in video. They worked in editorial in a completely different building in another part of LA. But they wrote a lot of the Latino articles that you used to see back in the day. If you ever saw a lot of the Cuban-centered BuzzFeed articles, that was Alex. He wrote most of them. Yeah, and so we all formed like this little alliance, and we started brainstorming and we made so many videos that finally we were able to prove ourselves, and they gave us Pero Like. But it was not easy. There was still a lot of challenges and a lot of things we had to overcome.
Definitely. But
And
I'm
the
so
fight
glad
is
that you
still being
guys fought
fought.
for it. For sure.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that you guys
Because,
definitely
yeah.
fought for it. And you guys have created so much great content. And I'm just so happy too that you continue to do that, because really your content is, it's not only just inspiring, but it's funny and it's nice, especially during this time where we kind of need a laugh. Like before we hopped on, we were talking with David and we were just like saying, my God, the quarantine video is just so funny, because it's what we love about your content is that it's very, relatable. Your characters are very relatable. They're people in our own families. And I want to ask a question from Instagram that somebody had submitted for our live. The Instagram handle is called @howwhat1234. And they ask, how did you come up with a wide range of such developed characters? It's a really good question. How do you do it all, Jenny? Tell us your secrets.
Ay, mija. Well, the thing is, I'm very hard on myself because I'm like, I need more characters already. But for me, it takes a really long time to release a character, and it's because I'm such a perfectionist that I want to make sure that they're a well-rounded individual before I release them into the wild. I'm like, I've been developing like a guy character, and I'm still not comfortable releasing him yet because I'm like, hey, he's not ready. So, and then some of them came more easily, like back to back. So obviously the first one was Abuela. And because I was working at these other companies, I was, a lot of my mentors and like my teachers at Groundlings are like, do not bring any other characters of yours to these platforms or they're going to try to keep them. The only reason why I was able to keep Abuela was because I had her from before BuzzFeed. So that's why, yeah.
No, sorry. It's because you got cut off and I missed you.
Oh.
No, you were explaining. Yeah, sorry.
For a while, when I was at Me Too, I just was feeling really tired and I started feeling like a one-trick pony. I was worried that people were thinking, and that's all this chick can do, play an old lady. And I'm like, no, there's so many more people living inside of me. I was just eager. So once I branched off, I already kind of had the flawed character, the crazy, but I didn't really have a voice for her yet. She sounded too much like Abuela, and I was like, no, I don't like that she sounds. Eventually, I gave her a more distinct accent. Marucci was probably the character. So Marucci came right after that. And I was very scared to bring Marucci out, but I had been wanting to bring Marucci out because she's a culmination of all the hairdressers that I had in Miami. And they all worked from. And then Loritza Marucci kind of came together in a package deal because some of my hairdressers in Miami had daughters. And because you work from home, things are bound to get a little, tú sabes, chaotic. And so I already kind of had them. They were like kind of together. Then Tia Gloria, I mean, everyone has.
They do.
Even if it's not a tia. It could be a madrina, someone's family, total hater, se cree la muy muy, super judgmental, lies all the time that their life is so fabulous, and it's not. And so then Jacqueline came about, the goth character, because I was like, what kind of daughter would Tia Gloria have? Because she was, for a while, for a whole year, Tia Gloria was talking her up. Oh, she's doing this, and she's traveling, and she went to Yale, and la 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 la. And I'm like, I didn't want to make her a chonga. I feel like a lot of people expected with that name, Jacqueline, for her to be some like chongiti, whatever. And I was like, that's too easy. So then I decided to bring a part of who I am, which is like a goth Latina who is like, she's like a nerd, and she's very introverted and artsy, and just, I think she's a cool ass character, but someone like Tia Gloria thinks it's from el demonio, So yeah, they say it all kind of branches off. They're not really all based on my family. My aunts aren't like that. My mom is actually a really Americanized Cuban woman. So it's just based on people in Miami, people that I just grew up around, or like some of them have aspects of me, and then I just make them into something, you know?
Oh my God, but they're so good though, Jenny. Like all of them, they're brilliant. And the way, I don't even know how you do it, because it's funny. I was watching this interview yesterday on Tyler Perry, and I was watching it, and you came to my mind, and I said, "Oh my God, Jenny's like our version of Tyler Perry," but like the female Cuban Tyler Perry, where you can play all these. I mean, I feel like you could do way more. Obviously, you do more characters than he does. But I'm just like, I don't know. This vision came to my head, and I was like, I just see Jenny blowing up and just doing these amazing things, and we've all talked about SNL and. Trust me, it's only a matter of time with you. I know that for a fact, because you do make fantastic content.
Hey Jenny, can I interrupt here? Hi everybody! Surprise! Yes, it's God wearing a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle shirt. So I'm David Vargas, one of the writers, director, producer of Hialeah, along with Melissa, and we just want to thank you so much for everything that you've done to support our show. We're huge, just like you're fans of us. We're huge fans of you. We have a freaking crazy thing going on here in the comments section. Estoy leyendo todo el mundo está diciendo that you got to go to SNL, that SNL needs you. All right. Everybody is saying hashtag SNL, Jenny SNL, SNL, Viva Jenny, represent. So listen, everybody wants to know, one, have you ever thought about going to SNL and trying out? Two, if you could choose any of these wonderful characters that you have created, if you can only take one with you, who would that be?
Ooh, that's wow. Good luck, Jenny.
God. So, and I'm very, it means a lot that people think that I'm good enough for SNL. The interesting thing is that you can't just audition for SNL. SNL has to come to you. Yeah. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, SNL.
So what do we do? Do we email them? Should we email them and send them your links?
You know what? Honestly, I mean, granted, if SNL would have me, great. It would be really dumb of me to turn down an audition with SNL. But I'm not an impersonator. I don't impersonate famous people. I don't have a single person in my arsenal that I impersonate. And SNL is it's become very political now in terms of like, who can you imitate that's in politics? And I don't have I can't think of a single person right now on the political stage that I can imitate or resemble. And so that kind of throws me off a lot with SNL. I'm like, well, would they even want me? I know I'm a strong character actress, but I don't know if I'm good enough for them because of the fact that I'm not. So Melissa Villaseñor, for example, she's fantastic at impersonating celebrities. I can't even give you one celebrity that I can imitate.
Have you ever thought about joining? Have you ever thought about joining SNL?
SNL. Honestly, my biggest dream, more than anything, and it's bigger to me than SNL, is having my own sketch comedy show on TV, like Key and Peele, like Portlandia, and it's about Miami culture. That to me is like my dream come true, is to have like a Miami centered sketch show. It's what I've been working towards for years. And that to me is actually more exciting than SNL. And no shade to SNL. Maybe it's me being hard on myself. That's such a far off idea of like, would they want me? Kind of thing. But also because I know if I have my own sketch show, I get to work with people, like freaking you guys, like other Cubans from Miami, other Caribbean Latinos as a whole, like represent South Florida in a hilarious way. That to me is my biggest dream, more than anything.
Definitely.
Oh, and then the question about the character, I think it would have to be Abuela. I mean, at the end of the day, that's a character that people really love and they're attached to. So I have another pilot that's about her alone. Not that she's the only character in the show, but it centers around her.
which I cannot wait for that. That's all going to happen. I just know it's only a matter of time for you. I'm so excited. David, do we have any questions on Facebook for Jenny? I haven't even looked at the comments.
Well, I think more than questions, it's just a lot of comments of support and admiration for everything that you've done, for how you've made people feel.
Oh, you guys.
You know, and the thing that we've discovered through making the Hialeah show is I can't figure out this box. I keep drifting out of it. Is that nostalgia is something that's really lacking these days. And when underrepresented, populations are being represented, it's not necessarily always accurate. And I really think that's why you've hit the nail on the head for so many people, and why your comedy, your writing, your personality has just hit home for so many people, because it's real and it's authentic, and that's really what is lacking in media, in content, in creation. And so the contribution that you've made, Jenny, to everybody, it's more than humor. It's a piece of us, So I want to personally thank you. People like you, but most especially you, have inspired what we've done with Hialeah. And so, I mean, I don't think people really have as many questions as much as they have just pure admiration and support. So that when that opportunity does come, you'll have a whole team of people rooting you on.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
One question that I do have from a filmmaker's point of view, I don't think everybody necessarily understands how complex it is what you do. Playing 5 characters, even 2 characters in one room, from the eye line of, it's not just changing your wig and changing your clothes. I noticed in the quarantine video, you were even changing your nail color to represent each character. I mean, that is dedication. But you've got to remember, you're filming these, I don't know how far apart you're filming these, but you have to remember what you did, either an hour ago or 3 hours ago when you were playing that other character. You got to make sure your eye line is the same. You got to remember how you were reacting before you played this character, because it's only you. But you do it so well that you forget that all these people in one room are you, except for David, your husband, who's got that
Yeah, I don't play Benito. Benito is played by my husband. Well, I'll tell you this: when it comes to eye lines and direction, that is all my friend Kevin Bosch, who is my writing partner. He's Venezuelan Colombian, also from Miami, and he's been living out here for the past few years. And he is the reason why these videos make any damn sense. Because I'm like, where's my eye line? Where do I look? And he tells me. And he really keeps it all in line. He helps me with, what order the character should go. And a lot of the time it's based on makeup. So who has the least amount of makeup, and then we move up from there. Or like where the shot, so he's like, y pobre, because he's helping me direct and running sound at the same time. And then my friend Christina. So I have 2 people that help me film my videos. I have Christina Cropper and I have Ernie Prieto, also Miami natives. And so I was explaining this to you guys earlier before we hopped on, but all these sketches that you see that are filmed in mockumentary style, like a lot of the funny camera movements and the zooms and the pans, that's all Christina. She is absolutely brilliant. She is so funny. And I feel like that only adds to the comedy of a lot of the videos. I am a huge believer that it's not just in the acting and it's not just in the writing. It's in the editing and it's in the camera movements. And then Ernie films the more cinematic videos of mine. So anything that you see that's like a parody of a movie, like if Beetlejuice was Latino, Ernie shot that one. A lot of the music videos, Ernie shoots those. And then I do all the editing. And that's pretty much, it's a very small and humble crew, but I could not have done a lot of these videos without, hello. And now that we're all quarantined and on lockdown, we haven't seen each other in over a month. And so a lot of the videos, all the videos that you've seen since like maybe March 15th or so, I've had to shoot on my own and come up with different ways of telling my stories without their help.
That's crazy. Jenny, just a fun little question. I know you've seen Hialeah Series. You've been such a big supporter of us. I think I know what you're going to say, but do you have a favorite character of our show?
Oh my God.
Don't say me because I'm your friend, okay?
I love you. No, you're so natural that
Don't
I'm
say
like,
me either
oh,
because I'm not in it.
okay. Coño. I mean, don't kill me because I forget names of like movies that I've watched 20 times. But oh, the Cuban dad.
Oh,
What is
yeah, Raulito.
Raulito? And I feel like it's because, oh God, it's so hard to see that
I didn't
authenticity.
expect you to say that. I thought you were going to say Abuela because honestly, she's one of my favorite characters of
Oh
the
no,
show.
she's like,
But it's
she's
interesting that you said
phenomenal.
Raul. Yeah, she's
You
great.
know why? It's because it's more rare to find. And at least out in LA, it's harder to find a really authentic Cuban dad.
Yeah,
And so
he's great.
seeing him, I'm like, damn. You know, I
Yeah.
mean, the whole show reminds me of Que Pasa USA. You know what I mean? And it's been a while since I've felt that nostalgia, and I felt that with your show. So whoever's watching me and has not heard of Hialeah, please do yourselves a favor, because everyone's always asking, "Oh, I miss Que Pasa USA. When do we watch Hialeah series?" And yeah, no, she's phenomenal. But I guess
Yeah, he's
because
great. Vanilla.
a lot of the stuff that I do is so ingrained in like abuelas and mommies, and there's a lot of like Latina actresses out here that I know. But then seeing that Cuban dad that's so hard to find, I'm like, oh.
No, thank you for saying that. That means a lot to us. And every time that people say that we're like Que Pasa USA, David, I'm sure you could agree. It makes us very excited and happy. That's a classic show we grew up with.
We don't
But
feel
Jenny,
worthy when
we're so
people
grateful.
we don't feel worthy when people say
Right?
that. You know, those are very
I
very
know.
big shoes to fill, but we are very humbled by it. So we
Sí,
thank you.
pero I mean, I think the reason why people keep mentioning Que Pasa USA is because it's a show that was so authentic, right? And unapologetically Cuban American, really, because there was the Cuban and then there was the American and then like the explosion,
right,
of both. And it's not something we see often still. And so it pulls on the heartstrings in the same way that Que Pasa USA did when you watch it. And you're like, oh my God, this is my family. And the acting is so good. So it's freaking
Thank you,
legit.
Jenny.
Yeah. And
That
you
means
are
a
like
lot to
such
us. Thank you.
a fantastic natural actress. Que like,
oh no.
Seriously.
No, we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that.
Okay, but I'm just saying. You're so good.
I love you, girl.
Well,
Damn,
part of the requirement,
I hate playing myself.
Part of the requirement to be part of our show was you had to be Cuban, you know, because you wouldn't get it. You know, you would read the script, and I mean, sure, there's a lot of common ground between what we portray in the show and so many other cultures. There's a lot of dots that you can connect, but there's very certain notes that you have to hit that only Cuban people can hit. And if you're not Cuban, you won't know. You know, and that's when I go back to the element of nostalgia, the thing that you hit so well. You know, and everybody in our cast is 110% Cuban. You know, from the way that abuelo and abuela sit, to how they walk, to how they bang the cazuela, to how they point the finger. You know, every culture has its idiosyncrasies. I have a hard time saying that word. You know, the Cubans.
Well, no, but it's true. It's the little details that make a huge difference in the portrayal of a culture or a community. And you don't need to worry about other people not getting it. I think specificity is the reason why certain shows succeed the way they do.
Definitely. And I think that that's a big testament to your success as well, because you definitely execute that flawlessly in your content. But Jenny, we're so grateful that you took the time to be on our live today. My last question would be, is there anything, any advice or any thoughts that you would like to share with your audience, our audience today, as we actually begin this new normal? Kind of, what are your thoughts?
What are my thoughts? I mean, imagínate, you know, it's not easy and everyone's going through something different right now. You know, everyone has their individual reasons to worry and situations vary. So it's kind of hard to give like this blanket statement of comfort. what I can say is that what's helped, throughout history, what's always helped people get through really tough times are the arts. And, going back to how much, me and my fellow, theater colleagues, did my perra just walk in? She just did.
Delilah.
We struggled a lot, and like in I noticed a lot of like theaters being taken down, and a lot of schools tend to put so much more focus on sports and drama and art. The arts in general are constantly, losing funding. And now more than ever, people are watching a ton of Netflix. They're playing a lot of video games. They're turning to music, and they're turning to art in all of its forms. And I think I would just like to ask the public to remember times like this, for when this is all over, to appreciate your fellow artists and to support in any way that you can. Because a lot of times artists are underpaid or paid very little. And, it's just so important during times like this. And it's something we tend to take for granted, And
Absolutely.
so that's like, for me, like a huge message.
Jenny,
Absolutely. Support the arts always.
Jenny,
Yeah.
when we were talking earlier, we've been through these Cafecito talk live streams. We're always pitching some organizations. People are wondering how they can help in their community. There's so many different great causes out there that you can support to. One that I love to support is the Ronald McDonald House. They're all over the country. The one I specifically work with is the Ronald McDonald House of South Florida. Melissa and Jenny, you guys had one. We just want to give a shout out to give people opportunities if they didn't know how they could help, during this time. You guys wanted to share some charities that you also are familiar with.
Yeah. So
Definitely.
since I live in Los Angeles, I'm all about the LA Food Bank right now because, we have to eat, and there's a lot of people right now that aren't able to afford feeding their families during this time. So, I feel like if you don't live in Los Angeles, it's fine. I feel like most cities have an organization set up to help families provide meals for their children. So I would say look into that. But obviously, there's the LA Food Bank, especially if you live in Los Angeles. And I wanted to give a shout out to, Martha of Miami, who lives, she lives in Miami, and she's making a bunch of masks and donating them. So if you buy a mask, she donates another mask to those working in the front lines.
Yeah, it's amazing. Her initiative has been super successful, and she's helping so many people. I'm so glad that you mentioned that, Jenny. And I would love to end with Feeding South Florida, which is part of Feeding America. So you're able to give to, when you donate, you can donate to Feeding South Florida. I've been seeing in the news that they are really needing funds to, like how you mentioned, Jenny. I think food right now is everyone's big priority, and as well as helping the frontliners. So I'm glad that you and I are on the same page with that. So I'm excited that we aligned on that.
And if you guys don't know what the Ronald McDonald House does for people who are coming in from out of town and need to get necessary surgeries for their kids, but they don't have a place to stay, any water, the Ronald McDonald House gives them a place to stay for free while their children can have these life-saving surgeries. So you can also visit their website. I've been throwing these up. Like I said, there's Ronald McDonald houses all over the country. The one I specifically work with is in South Florida, but you can check them out. So these are great causes that you guys can support in your local communities. And there's tons more. You guys can look up, you could help the national ones, but the local ones are the ones that people don't often pay as much attention to. So check these websites out. These are great causes if you were looking for something like that. Jenny, I had one more question here that somebody was giving me, and I thought was really, really good. Hang on. Oh, yes, this is important for you. So I'm going to throw it up again. It's Jenny, how can we best support your work? And yes, art saves me every day. Shout out to all the artists. How can they support you, Jenny, in the future, your fan base?
So, for me personally, it's, and it is just applies to a lot of like internet content creators, and not just, you know, people who do sketches and videos like me. A lot of like comic book artists in general, musicians, they also do similar things like this. I personally have a Patreon. If you go to patreon.com/Jenny Lorenzo, basically it kind of works in the same way that the theater model works, where they have patrons, and if it wasn't for the patrons, these shows wouldn't be able to be put up. So it's per video that I release, and there's different tiers, right? So you can pay $1 per video or $10 per video, and you can cancel at any time. And there's different, so you'll see if you visit my Patreon, you'll see the different reward tiers. And all of that money goes right back into the production of my videos. I use the funding from Patreon to pay Christina and Ernie and Kevin. And a lot of people have seen that I have a second bedroom entirely dedicated to props and costumes and wigs. And it costs money to also, you know, buy graphics and music and all these things. Like, it's all, you know, and also feeding my crew. Obviously right now there's no crew to feed. But Kevin and I still work together remotely on videos and stuff like that. So he's still getting, you know, the videos that he helps me write, I still pay him for those. And so Patreon, I would say, is the #1 place that not only myself, but a lot of other content creators utilize. On Facebook, I also have a fan subscriber program, and I think it's set to just $5 a month. They don't have any other tiers right now. But that's another way. If you don't want to go to another website to support me, there's Patreon. And then, you know, if obviously times are rough right now, and I completely understand that people aren't able to donate, you know, money. But the biggest way to support artists, especially on the internet, is to share their work. Engaging with the work, you know, liking, commenting. Sharing is especially the most important, especially on Instagram and Facebook, because at the end of the day, that's what brands look at. And when once this is all over and I'm able to work with brands again, which is my main way of making money, they look at the numbers, they look at your analytics, they see how well you were, you know what I mean? It's a whole, it's a whole thing. But truly, if you cannot support an artist financially, just simply sharing their work goes a long way. It's all about word of mouth, and that helps tremendously.
Great.
That's awesome.
All right.
Thank you so much, Jenny. We're so
Thank you,
grateful
guys.
you took the time to chat with us. Thank you so much for being here. Everybody support Jenny and watch all her videos. And thank you for always supporting us, Jenny. It's always meant the world. And we wish you a lot of health, and please stay safe, and everybody out there as well.
People want you to keep making, Jenny, people want you to keep making COVID FaceTime with family members. Are you doing that, or are they asking you to keep doing that?
I've done 2. I will be honest, they were very difficult to make. So I'm going to try to find a different way of making them. But for right now, I'm pausing those specific videos because it was very hard to do.
Nothing seems like it's hard. Nothing seems like it's hard for you. So we're gonna disregard the entire 1-hour interview that we just had with you, where you explained how you got to where you are. And I'm just gonna say you do everything really easily, right? That's how it is. So people have to go back and watch the people. Yeah, people have to go back and watch the beginning to realize that I'm full of it. Okay. That's how we're gonna share this interview. Okay.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'll keep figuring it out. But the way we did it the last 2 times, I was like, I can't do this again. So we're trying to figure it out.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Jenny, for taking this time.
Thanks,
you are a sensation, and keep doing what you're doing. And we hope to see you on the other side of this thing. And we want to thank everybody for watching. Melissa, you want to take us out?
Sure. Join us next week for a brand new episode of Cafecito Talks, our new little segment here in Hialeah Series. And again, if you've seen our show, please watch it again. Share it with everybody, just like Jenny said. That's the best way to support us artists. And if you haven't checked out the show, watch it here on our Facebook page. See you guys next week. Thank you.
Bye.